Today's builds are going to be so random that even I don't know what they're going to be yet. Greetings friends, Khaios here. A while ago on my private Discord server for Patreon supporters and YouTube members, I asked them to submit me some random shapes built in Terraria. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of those, then turning them into builds that fit the shape. They could be round shapes, square shapes, any shape. I have no idea what to expect, so let's hop straight in. The first thing you're going to notice is that these are kind of set back in 2022. I did say I asked them a while ago, right? Yeah, this kind of got thrown on the back burner and I recently remembered about it and I actually want to do this challenge. So here we are with the first build. It's going to be from Karlak and in we go. And that is a full build and not a random shape. I am a little surprised. 1 second. Hey Khaios, love your videos. Just wanted to give you a celebratory welcome. Press one of the two levers to teleport to the random shapes, or you could give the guide what he deserves with the red lever. Well, in that case... Well, thank you, Karlak. Sorry for getting to this so late, but it looks wonderful. This I did not ask for. This I did not expect, but I really do like it. And we're going to go with right, because right is always right. And holy cow, these are random shapes. All right, so I did ask for them to fit on one screen, which they have. And yeah, the first thing that comes to mind obviously is a ship. But it's also got some weird stuff going on. Maybe I won't do a ship. We're going to get rid of this here. That's not a part of the shapes. Now, I can do stuff around the shapes. It just has to have the shapes in the build. They have to be a focal point of the build. So all of that beared in mind, I can use whatever materials I want, whatever style I want. And while I decide what I'm going to be doing with this, I just wanted to remind you that we still have plushies from Makeship on pre-order. We've already sold over 30 towards our ultimate goal of 600. Every order goes directly to helping support me and this channel, so to everybody that has ordered already, I cannot thank you enough. If you're not sure about the quality of these little guys, let's ask our resident plushie expert, Shino. Here's the new design. What do you think of it, buddy? Hey, bring that back. It's the prototype. These are going to remain available for pre-order until October 26th, and when they're gone for good. Links are in the description below. A huge thank you to everybody who's already ordered one. I think I have an idea of what I want to do with these random shapes. So I'm thinking of having a crew of just makeshift raft pirates. There's just going to be this really hastily thrown together raft with a single sail, a giant mast as a battle platform, and they are flinging stuff at the Eye of Cthulhu. Should be interesting. I don't know how it'll come out, but let's give it a shot. I want to get started off on the easier aspect of these random shapes, which would be the Eye of Cthulhu, as that's the easiest for me to envision. The materials are pretty straightforward for this section. I went with flesh block for the meaty bits of this iconic boss, but I went ahead and painted them red. Normally the block has splotches of a few other colors in it, like blue, purple, and some white, which would have felt out of place, and that's why I went with paint. I chose normal paint instead of deep paint because I wanted to keep some shade variation in the blocks with different kinds of red to give it more texture. Deep red paint would have just made the block all one unison shade. Either way, it would look good. I just felt that this would be a bit more detailed. For the sclera of the eye, I chose frozen slime block with white paint. Any of the slime blocks or honey would technically work here and look fairly identical, but I went with frozen slime block for one big reason. It does not blend together with flesh block. Normal slime does, and when it comes to block blending, some combinations look great, like dirt and stone, while others do not, like in this case. It would create extremely straight 90-degree angle boxes anywhere that the blocks met, which I'm not very much a fan of in most cases. By using an alternative block that doesn't blend, I can fill up the gap between the two blocks with a matching wall type. In this case, I use deep red painted flesh block wall and white painted cloud wall. This makes the point where the two textures meet look much more appealing. The last block that went into the Eye of Cthulhu was bone block for the teeth. Another really important detail for this build is going to be hammering. I have to keep the shapes provided to me by Karlach, but a hammer goes a long way in making more detail out of them. Not just to round off things like the eye, but to also smooth out the connection between the flesh and the white portions, as well as the tendrils and the veins. Once the Eye of Cthulhu was done, I turned the other floating blobs into floating chunks of meat. The idea here is that oftentimes fishermen use scraps of meat called chum as bait to catch other sea critters. I thought it might be fun to apply that concept to these pirates that are hunting the Eye of Cthulhu by feeding it chunks of chum flung from their raft, one of which has a special surprise for the eye inside. All in all, I am pretty pleased with how the Cthulhu Phase 2 has come out. We've got bits of chum being flung at it, and hidden amongst and covered in that chum is a bomb, and it even has a timed fuse on it, which I think was a nice little touch. So up next, we need to work on this shape right here. And I feel like this is going to be the hardest bit out of anything. What I have envisioned is this being a raft that's been cobbled together by shipwrecks. So this will be kind of a torn makeshift sail with a little bit of a mast at the end. I'm not quite sure what I'll do with these lines, but I'll think of something. And then for this, I want it to look like this is a mast with several platforms on it. And some of these diagonal bits, they look like they could be sections of the yarding with some sails hanging off of it. No big deal, they'll be tattered. But the other parts like this, I want to try to make them look like they're catapults that are in mid-swing, and that's what's launching all of these pieces of chum and whatnot off of the mast to lure and destroy the Eye of Cthulhu. That's what I have in my brain. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off while keeping true to the shape. I'll try my best. This is quite the challenge. This might be one of the biggest challenges to my creativity that I've ever had. Since I want this to look like it's built out of parts of shipwrecks, it's going to be primarily made out of wood. For vertical sections, I'm going to be using living wood blended with patches of brown painted living mahogany, which will make it look even more tattered and worn out. To make the horizontal sections stand out from the vertical ones, I use ash wood and spooky wood, both with brown paint. I also focus on roughing up the texture a lot by using my hammer to create cracks, dents, and splits. For connection points between the vertical and horizontal shafts, as well as support accents, I use gray painted iron brick. Typically, I would use something like copper plating or tin plating for metallic sections, and there are areas in this build where I do use them, but neither of those blocks blend with any of the wood types, and I want to make them look as connected as possible, so I do need the blending, and that leaves iron brick. The tattered sails are very straightforward, as I just used sail wall. It's got a perfect texture and a great color, so there's no need to change it. With the cobbled mast complete, I moved on to the catapults, starting at the top. I placed gray painted copper plating for the bowl that holds everything that is being launched. The pivot point needs to stand out as fixed to the mast, but not blended in with it, so I removed some of the blocks and I placed brown painted marble wall. This is a color very similar to living wood and is a great filler wall in places like this to make the mast look like it's one single piece without missing blocks. Outlining the marble wall with echo wall ensures that it doesn't stick out past the mast. Then I slap a white painted ship wheel over those walls to make it look as if that is the fulcrum of the catapult. I put a chain and a boulder made out of gray painted sandstone on one end to make a counterweight, and a splash of flesh blocks here and there for some added detail. Then I just copy that template on the lower catapult in a different position. After that, I create the raft itself using the same block decisions established earlier, with some echo platforms and brown painted ebonwood baths in the water to make the raft look as if it is floating on the barrels. I decided to build a second tattered mast at the rear of the raft, as not only does it fit the shape provided, but it also makes sense that the sail should be attached to something. Then I follow the rest of the shape with more sail, and since the shape wasn't filled in all the way, I had more freedom with what to do in the middle, and I decided to leave gaps along the edges of it to make it look even more worn and reused. With this build challenge wrapping up, if you guys would like to attempt it yourself and to share it with me, there will be a link in the description below to the original world save provided to me by Karlak with the random shapes, and if you want to build them, I would love to see them. You could head over to the subreddit and share them there, or tag me on Twitter, X, whatever. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. This is quite possibly the most random, chaotic, messy build that I've ever done, and I kind of love it, to be honest. So we have our cobbled together makeshift pirate mess fighting the Eye of Cthulhu, and the random shape build challenge is very much complete, I think. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. We still have a couple of more worlds with random shapes that I haven't seen yet that I would like to do, so keep an eye out for those in the upcoming weeks. And don't forget to head over to Makeshift and order your Khaios plushie while you still can. There are still a few weeks left, and once they're gone for good. A huge thank you to my biggest supporters for the month, Hypic3 and Sarcasm Not Intended. And be sure to check out my channel artist, MythicalWater, linked in the description below. Thank you all very much for watching. Be back soon with a new video.